I could have been on the most beautiful beaches in the world right now. I could have been enjoying a life, the waves smacking me in the face, my beautiful mane of hair blowing in the breeze.
What the are you talking about?
They ask her questions like a vacuum. What? I didn't like the angle. I said, come on, baby. And then all of a sudden you see that fire pouring from the right side. It straightens up. Boom. We make you this sacred and sacred. Do you know Bill O'Reilly? I like Bill O'Reilly. A good man. Don't you know I feel the same? David, I know you just spoke. Just come here, say like for 2 seconds, because nobody wants to hear you right now. The wind, it sounds so wonderful. The wind is bullshit. Somebody said, you should be nicer. Women won't like it. I said, I don't care. This is a news conference. Oh, she said, no, no, I'm fine. No, this is, I wouldn't have done nothing. But also, if you ever did, our country would be. Do I love Iowa? I love Iowa. I love corn. I'd love to meet the father. Where's the father? I want to meet the father. I might like him. This guy, he's crazy.
Well, to quote the late, great Chris Farley, what in the hell was that all about? What's up, guys? I'm Boston Brian here from the MeidasTouch Network, and Donald Trump just wrapped up what has to be the wildest, wackiest, weirdest, and craziest week of presidential campaigning in the history of this country. Out of all the craziness that took place, quite possibly the craziest part of this whole ordeal may have been Trump's makeup, though. I mean, this guy looked like he fell face first into some stain for a wood floor. I think I have a picture of him here. Take a look at this and tell me whatever the hell you think this is. Oops, sorry, wrong picture. That's not him. Sorry, I don't know how that got in there. I think this is the picture I was looking for. Listen, I don't care which lens you view this through, which political party you're affiliated with, or which abacus you decide to calculate on. This week was an unmitigated disaster for Donald Trump and his campaign. I mean, whether it was that disastrous town hall he held, hosted by Cujo killer herself, Kristi Noem, in which several people went down with medical emergencies, Donald Trump proceeded to call everybody fat, took 4 questions, got sick and tired of the whole thing, and then proceeded to play his dictator playlist for the next 40 minutes while he swayed back and forth awkwardly on stage.
Go ahead, let's go nice and loud. Here we go. To the doctor, guess
Or whether it was his sit-down with John Micklethwaite, the editor-in-chief of Bloomberg, at the Chicago Economics Club, in which Donald Trump's mental deficiencies, inabilities to grasp the economy, and how tariffs and taxes actually work were on full display from start to finish.
Critics say your tariffs will end up being like a national sales tax.
Nope, the countries will pay.
If you have, America at the moment has $3 trillion worth of imports. You're going to add tariffs to every single one of them. That is going to push up the cost for all those people who want to buy foreign goods.
Now, what's going to happen?
It's simple mathematics, President Trump.
It's not. Yeah, it is, but not the way you figured. I was always very good at mathematics. The higher the tariff, the more likely it is to have them come into the country.
The higher the tariff, the more you're going to put on the value of that piece, those goods, the higher people are going to pay in shops. 40 million jobs rely on trade. It accounts for 27% of GDP.
Okay.
If you cut that off, that's also going to have an effect on many, many business people here.
Yeah.
Tariffs also have another side. Isn't that something that you have to acknowledge?
No.
You could be plunging America into the biggest trade war.
I mean, this thing was an embarrassment, a total embarrassment. We really have to start asking ourselves as Americans, what the hell is going on here? How the hell is this race still so close? Check out this insane moment where Donald Trump was asked point blank if he's continuing to communicate with Vladimir Putin since he got out of office in direct violation of the Logan Act. And I want you to pay attention to how Donald Trump tries to steamroll the interviewer. I mean, Donald Trump realized really fast that he was outmatched, outclassed, and out of his league in this conversation. So he just tries to keep steamrolling the editor-in-chief of Bloomberg so that the editor-in-chief could not rebut what Donald Trump was saying and prove Donald Trump wrong. It was just an awkward conversation from start to finish. But check out this remarkable moment where Donald Trump refuses to say if he's been communicating and still is communicating with Vladimir Putin.
Can you say yes or no whether you have talked to Vladimir Putin since you stopped being president?
Well, I don't comment on that, but I will tell you that if I did, it's a smart thing. If I'm friendly with people, if I have a relationship with people, that's a good thing, not a bad thing in terms of a country. He's got 2,000 nuclear weapons, and so do we. China has a lot less, but they'll catch us within 5 years.
That sounds
If
very,
I have a relationship,
very much
I don't talk about that. I don't talk that. I don't ever say it. But I can tell you what, Russia has never had a president that they respect so much.
Now, don't get me wrong. I know Vladimir Putin is Donald Trump's man crush, but I'm pretty certain the Russian people don't have respect for a guy that had to change Russian law to become their dictator and is now responsible for over 600,000 dead Russians in the Ukraine war, which happened so fast that Russia is now running out of crematoriums and cemeteries to put them in. So we now have roughly 3 weeks to go before the election, and when Donald Trump wasn't dancing around on stage like a dementia patient that was lost or making a fool out of himself and showing his complete lack of understanding of how the economy works at the Chicago Economics Club or kissing Vladimir Putin's ass, he was talking about windmills again. Yes, that's right. With less than 3 weeks to go, Donald Trump is using his time, energy, and resources going after windmills.
You know, I flew over some of those beautiful windmills. They're falling down, by the way. They're all over the place. They're all over the place. That gorgeous, beautiful Pennsylvania countryside. They got these big, ugly suckers hanging down. They're rusting and rotting. Half of them weren't spinning, and the ones that were going so slow. They were going, it's not too windy, but, you know, they're going like slow. The other ones were just dead, but they're all rusting and disgusting looking.
Donald Trump also continues to remind the American people of just how dangerous another 4 years would be if he were to get back in the White House, just how dangerous another 4 years could be to immigrants and people of color under another Trump administration by again threatening to invoke the Aliens and Sedition Act, which, if anybody remembers correctly, is the same policy that led to the Japanese internment camps during World War II.
To expedite removal of the Tren de Aragua and other savage gangs, I will invoke the Alien Enemies Act of 1798. Can you imagine? Those were the old days when they had tough politicians. I have to go back that long. Think of that, 1798. Oh, it's a powerful act. You couldn't pass something like that today. Today, we're politically correct.
This racist, xenophobic, and unconstitutional plan Trump has to put into place the Aliens and Sedition Act really shines new light and brings into focus the rhetoric that Trump and his minions have been using regarding the southern border, because the way that the Aliens and Sedition Act is written, the powers that Trump is hoping to use can only be used under times of war or during an invasion by a foreign government. And here's the orange-crusted psychopath further proving my point by calling the United States an occupied nation and saying that this is no different than a time of war.
So we're now known all throughout the world as an occupied country. Can you believe it? They said, one of the papers said on another country that we are an occupied country. And you know what? They're not that wrong. But these gentlemen will unoccupy us very quickly. It's really no different than if we had a war.
And here's Donald Trump's favorite Joseph Goebbels impersonator, Stephen Miller, in Prescott, Arizona, taking it a step further and calling it a government-sponsored invasion.
This was a case of using the federal government to sponsor, orchestrate, and direct the invasion. They would take illegal aliens and they would load them up into buses and move them into your communities. A government-sponsored invasion.
Miller, who's widely known to be behind some of Donald Trump's most hateful policies and disgusting rhetoric, and is also, I believe, in the running to become the world's most disgusting human being behind Donald Trump, took it even a step further, belittling, degrading, and demeaning immigrants, calling them rapists and murderers, and saying that we knew for a certainty that they were going to commit crimes when placed into society.
What kind of person would resettle millions of fighting-age men from 150 countries, unvetted, into our cities, knowing with a certainty that they will rape, and they will murder, and they will kill innocents?
Now, adding up all these threats and all this ridiculously hateful rhetoric, it only makes it even more dangerous and even more egregious when we hear Donald Trump say that he's going to threaten to use the National Guard and the military against U.S. citizens and immigrants.
A lot of the people that run the states, they don't want to talk about it. They want to try and solve it, but they can't because they're not tough enough. You need very tough people like ICE. like military. You need very tough people to solve it.
And as if Donald Trump didn't already add enough fuel to the fire, here he is once again stoking the flames, telling his supporters to watch out for Democrats cheating because it's the only thing we're good at. Once again, setting his followers and supporters up for devastation when they get their asses handed to them in November and Kamala Harris becomes our next president of the United States of America. And they wonder why, since they were up in the polls the whole time, and every time he was indicted, he went up in the polls, how they possibly could have lost. And the only way that possibly could have happened is if the Democrats cheated, thus setting up another situation that is vastly ripe for another January 6th, which is exactly what Donald Trump wants if and when he loses.
Democrats, they are destroying our country. Whether you vote early, absentee, by mail, or in person, we are going to protect the vote. That's the most important thing we have to do, is protect the vote. Keep your eyes open, because these people want to cheat, and they do cheat. And frankly, it's the only thing they do well. We will make sure your ballot is secure and your voice is heard. Many Republicans like to vote on Election Day, and we must swamp the radical Democrats with massive turnout on Tuesday, November 5th. The way you win is to swamp them. If we swamp them, they can't cheat. It just doesn't work out.
But listen, guys, even with all the evidence in this video, everything that I just showed you, this race is still far too close. So make sure you get your asses out there and vote, because we cannot afford to have this guy in office for another 4 years. This world cannot afford to have Donald Trump back in office for another 4 years. I don't think we will survive it, which is exactly why it's so important now more than ever for you guys to get involved, to stay involved. If you guys like what you're hearing, if you like what you're seeing, make sure you smash that like button. Make sure you hit subscribe. It's all free. We're on our way to 4 million subscribers here at the MeidasTouch Network. If you'd like to check out more of the MeidasTouch Network, you can catch us at MeidasTouch.com. You can also check us out at patreon.com/MeidasTouch. If you'd like to support independent creators like myself who have absolutely nobody above them telling them what they can and cannot say, you can check me out at patreon.com/BostonBrian. I also host Blunt Politics, the political podcast, on Sundays at 1 p.m. on YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and Twitter. Please check me out there. Follow me on YouTube at Boston Brian. I appreciate you guys. I love you guys. Keep kicking ass. Keep fighting. Until next time, I'm Boston Brian. Have a great night.
Love this video? Make sure you stay up to date on the latest breaking news and all things Meidas by signing up to the MeidasTouch newsletter at MeidasTouch.com/newsletter.